Today we're going to go down here locally and cut some red cedar trees. Stay tuned as we cut them, load them, and get them back here so we can cut them up on the sawmill. We have an 18-inch diameter red cedar tree that need to cut down out of this pasture. So we're going to get started cutting several of these out of this pasture. It's a horse grazing pasture, and the trees are shading the grass, and they're also hard to mow around. So David has just asked us to get rid of them, and of course I can use the logs of my sawmill. Alright, we got our 18-inch cedar down. It looked like the termites beat us to it. They've already ate the heart out of the tree and then filled the hole full of dirt, which is really tough with a chainsaw. This tree will make a saw log, but also notice how many bark inclusions, where the bark literally folded inside of itself around the tree. It'll create some interest, but it'll also create some problem for lumber where they want to try to separate during at that bark inclusion. You guys want to see how we take these Widowmakers and get them on the ground? It's simple. You push the button. Here we go. It's down and safe to finish the lemon. Before we can finish loading the tree we just cut down, I've got to go up the hill and load this log that David had cut down a few days ago. We're going to take a few minutes to show you how I load logs on the trailer, and then we'll go back and load the limb and load the tree that we just cut down. You might find it interesting on this portion to see how many times I have to use snatch blocks to maneuver the log up the ramp and onto the trailer correctly. These logs are way too heavy to manually move, so using sometimes multiple winches and multiple cables and lots of snatch blocks, I use those to maneuver the log and guide it onto the trailer. Notice that I'm using a 12,000-pound winch to pull this log up there. These logs are heavy, and it takes that big a winch to pull them. Even at that, during the pull, I'll have to stop and let them rest and cool down. Notice that I'm controlling the winch with a remote that I keep hanging around my neck. It allows me to work the back of the trailer while the winch is running the front end of it. I can do things and maneuver and watch how the log's loaded in the rear. big heavy ramp at the back of my trailer weighs about 130-140 pounds. It's very heavy, made of some really heavy steel that'll support these large logs. The only problem is loading it. It is a handful to load because it is solid steel.
Resting on one big limb that's holding the whole tree off the ground. Also, I've got brush in the way, so I'm going to hook up the trailer over here, try to roll it off that big limb to get it on the ground, the main log on the ground. At the same time, I can pull it forward and get more limbs to cut off. Every once in a while this winch gets hot. You have to stop and let it cool just a second. Then it'll go on and pull. It normally stays with me the whole time, but you have to give it cooling periods to allow that to happen. Starting to have a jamming problem. That was running into this log, so I've got to take that log, move it back a little bit and over to allow this other log to get on the trailer.
This is the reason I have 3 winches on this trailer. And I am pulling one log on the trailer with one winch, and now I'm going to use a winch on the opposite side just to pull this log sideways to make room for it. Without a number of winches, it's hard to maneuver these big logs. Constantly flipping the cables off. One log putting another just to move it, saving me an enormous amount of time to move these logs.
I was cutting that log back there because I want this log as a saw log to cut up cedar boards. But what's left, David is going to take the smaller pieces and make fence posts out of them. He uses a lot of cedar post here. So I was cutting it where it got too small for me to use a saw log, but he's still got plenty of wood there. And all those little old limbs that's on there, he'll cut into stays that'll go between his posts. So most of that tree will get used up.
The logs are loaded, and so all we got left to do is load this heavy ramp down here at the end, get all of our cables and chains packed away and our chainsaws loaded, and get this log on back to the log yard so we can get a chance to get it on the sawmill and cut it up. So we're getting ready to get on the road here. Now I've cut down 2 cedar trees this morning and then limbed them, all those little limbs that's on a cedar tree, and then loaded these 2 big logs. I guess I'm slowing down, but probably not bad for a 72-year-old man, but I used to could do it faster. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. Subscribe so you see future videos of this sort. Stay with us. The next video we're going up in Forward North Texas to cut down what I was told was pecan tree. Once I get there, I find it's a Chippecane oak with all kinds of problems. We have to do some really unusual things to get this tree down safely. Stay tuned, you'll see what I mean.